It's actually quite atmospheric this morning. Good morning, Mr. Magpie. To you too. Love these trees on this, in the middle of this roundabout. It's always nice coming through here when I cycle to work in the morning. Not done it for ages, but I did used to like this part. So we're just passing under the railway here. We go backwards over this railway. In fact, because of the way this walk's circular, we do go over a lot of things that we end up going over later again. I'm not too sure why it's two bridges here. I looked at it on the map last night and I've no idea why the railway splits at this point. It only does it like literally temporarily for like 500 metres. And that's the railway that goes from Manchester to Southport via Wigan, that stops at Swinton. So this area here, there's a huge industrial estate over there. You can probably see the silhouette of a massive building there. Both those routes there, they go over towards Drinkwater Park, the rest of the Irwell Valley, and I've been both of those ways on my bike to get to Drinkwater Park and then carry on obviously towards Phillips Park and that. Today though, I'm going to go down this eerie looking route here, which I've never done before, and it doesn't look that inviting, I have to say, on a map. It looks quite daunting down here, and it certainly does this morning in this mist. So I'm going to head down this way, which follows the railway, and then it turns left into the industrial estate at the end, and then crosses another railway, and that's the railway that goes from Manchester to Bolton. And then after that there is a street, I can't remember the name of it now, there's a road there which we cross, and then we head down to the Irwell, and that sort of 2 kilometre stretch along the River Irwell is really nice. I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, off we go into the mist. Loving the birds this morning. It's the best thing about this time in the morning, listening to the birds. Already seen and heard loads of wrens, robins, crow just in time there. One decision I made this morning, which I may regret, is wearing my trail running shoes. A lot of the paths are going to be like this after the recent rain, so why I've worn these I've no idea. I was thinking I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the second part of the walk on pavements and well laid paths, which I probably am, but the first half of the walk I'm probably going to get soaked. It's hard when you do things like this and you're in somewhere that's urban. You don't really want to look like you've gone hill walking in the town. You look a bit of a dick, to be quite honest. You've got to kind of like strike that balance. I know it's not a fashion show, but you know, you also don't want to be looking like some loon that's like, you know, with his trekking poles walking past Tesco. So you got to kind of get that balance. I didn't really want to be walking around in walking boots around Swinton. Oh, some mucky colours in this water here. That looks pretty damn disgusting, that, doesn't it? There's a lot of algae and oil and stuff in there. Look at this swamp thing. I think at some point I'm supposed to follow a path over to the left in that direction, but I'm certainly not going over that way yet. It really does look like something out of a horror movie in here. And of course, no walk in Salford would be complete without a burnt out car or a burnt out motorbike. There you go. This is another one of the things of living somewhere like around here. You're constantly in a battle psychologically in your head with the negativity of litter and people's attitudes towards the outdoors. But this is why I do videos like this. You know, I want people who live around here to also know about this part of Salford, because there's some absolutely stunning areas and there's a lot more than people realise, especially this Irwell Valley area. So we're going to try and not be negative today. We're not going to look at the litter. I think this is the point where I'll leave this track that goes down the side of the railway and turn left. It looks like there's actually some fencing there saying footpath closed. I don't know how long that's been there. Whether it's still in place, I hope not. It looks okay down here. Certainly a much narrower path down this way. I just absolutely love birch trees. Silver birch is by far my favourite tree. Wow, look at those in front. That is pretty cool. Absolutely stunning there. That's quite interesting there, look. Where the path steps down here, it crosses one of the old railway sidings. You can actually still see it. Just passing over the sleepers here, the concrete sleepers. Look at that. Railway to nothing. That's pretty cool. Yeah, one of the big differences between this railway line, apart from the fact that it obviously just looks a lot bigger, there's more tracks here, and the other one that goes to Southport through Swinton, this is the Bolton one, is that it's electrified these days as well. I don't know if they've got plans to do the Swinton one or not, but the that route is still not electrified. I've not seen a single train on either of these lines this morning. So we're just coming down here now to Langley Lane, and we're going to head east along here, not for very long. Let's pick up a place called Whit Lane. You get these sort of random lines of terraces down here that were obviously old factory houses, probably built purely for the purpose of people that worked in the old factories down here. It's still industrial down here, it's just more sort of big aluminium buildings these days and plant hire kind of places. It's not the old factories that it used to be down here. But it's nice to see the houses still down there. I was saying about industry change. A lot of these places down here now are just warehouses for online retailers. There's actually a cafe down here. It's like they're opening up at the moment. I don't think I'm early enough, unfortunately, for a coffee. It looks good. So I'm now turning down Whit Lane, and then hopefully just past that bus stop down there should be a left turn down to the Irwell. I'm really hoping to get down to the Irwell whilst it's still misty. I've been down there before when it's misty, and the view towards the city centre is amazing when you've got this like river in front of it with a stream of mist going over it. I don't know if you can see in the very distance there. There's a council estate there in the foreground, and then behind it there's a big skyscraper in the city centre. You can always tell when you're heading into a Mancunian council estate. It's almost like a warning. Shoes on the telegraph lines. My original route was actually down that path there, which didn't look very inviting, I have to say, even on Google Maps when I checked it out. But there's now this new path. It's one benefit when they build new estates. There's a brand new estate built here, and one of the things they have to agree to do is to obviously improve the surroundings, and one thing they've done here is build a better path down to the Irwell, which is really helpful. It looks like the Irwell might still have a little bit of mist on it, so it might look quite good down here. They really have built this estate right next to the river. Look at this. That's not a bad view out the front of your house, that is it? Oh, it's a shame they didn't carry the path all the way to the river. Seems to have just stopped or just fallen down it. But yeah, look at that for a view outside the front of your house. That is pretty cool, isn't it? The area where that bridge goes there, that bridge goes over to a load of playing fields over there. I'm rubbish at remembering the names of these places, but yeah, where that field is there on the other side of that bank, that's where they now drain the Irwell when it floods. So there's some really big sluice gates over on the other side over there, and they basically open up those sluice gates. I've no idea what that thing is over there. That might be one of the sculptures. They have a thing around here called the Irwell Valley Sculpture Trail. It was put in place years ago, actually, a couple of decades ago now, I think. You can do this long distance walk. It's quite long as well, and you kind of spot these structures along the way. That view towards Manchester is absolutely brilliant. I came down here on my bike once and it was like that. It's absolutely stunning. It's perfect this time of year because the sun comes up right behind all the skyscrapers there. Just zoom in and see, you can see even better. I don't know if it'll work or not. There you go. Awesome. So the next part of this walk today is to basically just follow the banks of the river now, all the way up to Forest Bank Park. Look at the way that mist there is clinging on the side. Probably will be gone soon, the mist. So yeah, so we carry on along here now for 2 kilometres, passing the cemetery and over Agecroft Bridge. Morning. God, I wish I had the body to be able to jog. I'd love to be able to do it, but my body is just not built for jogging at all. Look at that view behind. Amazing. The tallest building in view there is not is by no means the tallest in Manchester, but it is the tallest in Salford. I can't remember what it's called now. It's towards like the Victoria end of Manchester city centre, but obviously because it's on this side of the Irwell, it's actually in Salford, not Manchester. Seagulls are loving it on the water. It's very calm today, the river. It's slightly in spate. It's not normally as high as this because obviously we've had a lot of rain recently, but it's not mega high, you know, it's not up over on them paths over there, but there's enough water in it to make it that sort of almost silvery colour. And because of it, you can't see any of the weirs or anything like that. There's normally little bits where it gets a bit interesting, where it sort of hits a slight weir and things like that, but yeah, it's pretty full. Apologies for taking so much footage of the view back to Manchester, but it is pretty impressive. Just before we round the bend towards Agecroft, if you look there now, you can see the tallest building in Manchester. There's several really tall skyscrapers there. Again, I'll try to zoom in. It's brilliant though, isn't it? You can walk along this path all the way into I think it's Peel Park near Salford University. You go around like Kersal wetlands as well, which is quite fascinating. But yeah, you can pretty much follow the Irwell all the way into Manchester along these paths. And the view on an early morning like this, when it's misty and that, and it's a clear day, with the skyscrapers in the distance above the mist, it's brilliant. We're now at Agecroft Cemetery. And over the way there, you'll see on the other side of the river, that's where I was saying they allow the floodwater to go. You can see the break there in the bank, and you can also see the sluice gates over there as well. That entire area there, huge area that they allow to flood, because it stops places like Kersal and Lower Broughton from flooding. A lot of Canada geese out here today. So after walking alongside the cemetery and the crematorium, you then come to this bridge, which is Agecroft Bridge. But yeah, we're gonna follow the path up to the road, and then we're going to carry on, same again, on this side of the river, going past Forest Bank Prison. The less said about that place, the better, to be quite honest. And then Forest Bank Park, where I hope to nip through to underneath the railway again and pick up Lum's Lane, where our local tip is, and then head up into a place that's called Livia Silverdale, which I'll explain when we get up there. I tend to stick to the side of the river down here because I don't like going near the prison. When I've come down here before and you go quite close to the prison, you can actually hear the inmates shouting things, and it's not really very nice. So I tend to just stick to the river until I get to the path. The only thing I am worried about further down here is where you go from here to where the recycling centre is at the tip. The path that goes through to there, although it's a green dotted path on the OS map, I'm pretty sure there's gates there, so I don't know how you get through. So that's going to be interesting when we get there. Someone's obviously had a bad shot. So this area heading into now is Forest Bank Park. On the other side over there, you've got Drinkwater Park, which is really big actually. It goes all the way up to Phillips Park as well, up near Prestwich area. You can walk, you can basically park up there near Agecroft Bridge. There is also a car park at Forest Bank that's free over that way, and then you can do some cracking walks up through the Irwell Valley from here up to you can go all the way up to Clifton Country Park, along through Drinkwater Park. Like I say, you've got this Forest Bank Park which I'm going through now. Pretty much every time I've ever come through here I've seen rabbits. I mean, it's quite cold this morning obviously, but I'll have a look in a second. Wow, that was boggy. Yeah, this field here near the car park, if I don't see a rabbit right now, this will be the first time I've ever been up here without seeing a rabbit. Yeah, especially along the edges up here, there's nearly always rabbits. Of course there's not going to be. Now I've got my camera out, there's never going to be a rabbit, is there? Let's face it. So yeah, we're heading that way, towards that Prestwich Forest Park in Clifton Country Park. We're not going to go that far. Before we get to the bridge over the Irwell, we're going to go left and head towards Lum's Lane, as it's called. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little tiny coal tit playing around on the bushes there. So this is pretty much where I leave the Irwell. So you've got, there's a metal bridge over there that goes over to Drinkwater Park, and where that bridge is I'm going to turn left and head up towards Lum's Lane. This is quite a nice spot to chill and sit. I have actually got a thermos flask with me and a couple of chocolate bars. My thermos flask is full of a mocha coffee, chocolate and coffee. How stunning is that? You'd have absolutely no idea that you're in the middle of Salford right now. Just 2 miles from Manchester city centre. The bridge over to Drinkwater. So the sign on here does say Lum's Lane. Got various places there. Any United fans watching will know what that means to the cliff. That's United's old training ground from the 90s. That's in Kersal. You've got Clifton Country Park that way. That's a good sort of 2 mile walk. And then Lum's Lane that way, which is where I'm planning to go. There's your Salford trail markers again. So yes, I'm not going that way, so I'm leaving the river now and heading out over this way. There's a sign there. So yeah, this is Forest Bank Park that we're in at the moment. Warning on there about giant hogweed. Every year you see the stories in the evening news about people who've managed to burn themselves on giant hogweed. You get a lot of it down here, a hell of a lot. I can't tell how much of the birdsong appears on the videos, but right now you can hear so much. There are wrens, robins, tits, crests, finches, all sorts, all making a racket. During the pandemic, the COVID pandemic a few years ago, obviously a lot of these areas were a lot quieter than they used to be. These sort of little green passageways into urban areas. And one thing that happened quite a bit around here, and it still does, is you do see some deer sometimes. It sounds unbelievable to think of deer being just a couple of miles, even if that, outside of Manchester, but you get these green corridors, and the Irwell Valley is one of those where the deer will kind of take their chances and come down through, and sometimes they're kind of a little bit sort of rabbit in the headlights as well, in that because these green areas as what they call them, green belts, for a reason, don't they? Because they're often sort of long and narrow. So what you'll sometimes find is some of the deer will come down this way, but they actually kind of get trapped, unfortunately, and ended up going in one direction as well, which is towards Manchester. I mean, hopefully they kind of find their way back eventually, but I think a lot of them do end up getting sort of stuck down this way. But there's a couple of times when I've been out on my mountain bike or my hybrid bike and gone out this way and out towards towards Bury Way and the outward trail which goes out towards Radcliffe from here. I've quite often gone out that way and actually seen deer on a few occasions. But they do come down this far as well. Sometimes if you're lucky in Drinkwater Park, if you know, in the middle of summer, if you go down there like 5 o'clock in the morning when it's light, you do actually see quite a few deer. Right, we're just passing under the electrified railway to Bolton, which we're down the side of and went over earlier. It's quite a long dark tunnel. Luckily it's not very wet down there. I thought this would be all muddy and horrible, but it's not too bad. There's even like there's a path up there, like a walkway. I suppose that's for just in case there's a vehicle coming. Now this is the bit I'd feared. I don't know if you can see in front of me, there's a gate going all the way across that track there. However, I've just realised that a bit further back, if I just go back on myself, there is a walkway down the side of here. I think the idea is you go down there. Wow, that is proper overgrown. I mean, it might be that if I'd carried on along the road there might be a hole in the fence down the end, but this kind of section seems to be sort of fenced off. So I'll go down here just to make sure, and hopefully... Wow, this is not pleasant. Well, that wasn't a pleasant experience. And it turns out when I get to the bottom of here I didn't need to do that anyway. So yeah, so if you come down here, you do not need to worry about these gates. There's a great big gap down the side. I'd always been under the impression driving down Lum's Lane that this was blocked off. Clearly that is not the case, so do not bother going down that thing there on the side like I just did. Just come straight down this track here and then straight down the side of there, and then over there. This is Lum's Lane, which is where our tip is. That there's the entrance to our tip, the recycling centre, and behind it, if you can see all those birch trees behind it, that's where we're heading up there onto that hill. And just down here, people driving like knobheads. You'll see over there is a footpath sign and a stile. Yeah, so once you've safely crossed the road, watch out because there's some right dickheads that drive down here at stupid speeds. Once you've gone down there and you're on the other side of the road, turn right at the tip and you'll see that there is a footpath here up onto Silverdale. I actually really like it up here. Years ago, this whole area up here, which they call Silverdale, was basically like farms. It was a mixture of farms originally, and then the massive collieries. There was a couple of collieries up here. Obviously, Agecroft is the one that everyone knows, but there were actually several of them, all built up here. And there's a lot of the remains of the buildings. The old pits and all that sort of stuff up here, so there's quite a lot of fascinating history up here. You can see now the path in front of me is going to start heading uphill, and it is now a case of climbing up a hill onto the top of this area. obviously with the tip being here, the recycling centre, over the other side of Lum's Lane there's a couple of big hills, but they're all landfills that are they're nowhere near the point where they turn them into sort of recreational areas. They're fairly new. This here, this embankment which you can see, is actually an old railway that used to come over this way. There's a bit of a sort of side of it there, but yeah, this here used to be a railway. The tracks are gone now, there's no sign of it at all, but it goes round the corner there into the woods and then just completely disappears. And the reason it completely disappears is because it used to go through a tunnel that goes under the ridge here, and it actually turns up on the other side of the ridge, on the other side of Swinton. I've done a couple of bike rides and walks up there before. I'll have to do a video one day of up there, but where the other end of the tunnel is, it then goes under the East Lancs and heads towards Monton and joins up with the Eccles Railway many years ago. So yeah, if you go along the new Swinton Greenway from Swinton to Monton, it's actually this railway that we're stood literally now where it used to be. This railway used to go all the way around through a huge tunnel all the way underneath Swinton and then come out the other side. And over to the right, where the railway used to go over that way, there's a really impressive viaduct over towards the Outward Trail, where after it crossed the river, the Irwell, it went over that way. But yeah, it's quite interesting looking at old maps and seeing the route of that old railway. But there's absolutely no sign of it at all here now, other than the embankment which we're stood on at the moment. There's no sign of it at all. So this area is quite interesting. There's loads and loads of silver birch trees here. It's quite a bizarre area really. It's always really eerie and quiet up here. I mean, look at it, it's absolutely stunning. It's amazing that no one comes here. I mean, I suppose this area here, this particular area, is quite... There's not really anywhere to park down here. Unless you walk here, you probably wouldn't even know this exists. But yeah, it has its own beauty, doesn't it? This place, it's quite stunning. So yeah, there's where those trees are there's a track up there. We can either head over that way and then join it and dogleg it up, or we can just walk straight up to up there and join it. I'm not too sure which route I'm going to choose, but wearing these trail running shoes, it might not be a good idea to go up the hill up there, but I might give it a go. So yeah, do I go the easy way, or do I risk getting up there? I might even run it. If I run, does that mean I won't slip? Sod it, I'm going to go up there. If I follow my arse, I follow my arse. No one will ever know, there's no one here. Happy to report I did not land on my arse. I nearly did a few times. So yeah, so once you're up here, you're actually on a decent track. So I'm going to follow this track now into the centre of Silverdale, and then I'll end up pretty much in the centre of Swinton. So this is what they call Livia Silverdale. It's actually really pleasant up here. There's parts of it where you look at it, you think you could be somewhere like the Peak District. There's heather everywhere, there's bracken, there's birch trees. I mean, you won't have a clue that you are like, I think about less than about half a kilometre to the left of me there, there's a McDonald's drive-through in the town of Swinton. Livia stands for Lower Irwell Valley Improvement Area, which is kind of like I think it's the Woodland Trust, and they created this kind of idea to improve all these areas within the Irwell Valley, which I'm a massive fan of because I absolutely love this area. I just love the fact that it's just hidden away in between all these little rough suburban towns, and you know, people like me who know about it come here and get that outdoor fix. And obviously nature thrives around this area because it has these little green belts. I would imagine, sadly, it's probably one of those things that after doing the kind of initial work, maintaining it probably is something that a lot of these sort of organisations can't afford anymore. So you do see like things like the benches and sometimes the paths as well and stuff like that. You know, if they're not built to last, they do quite quickly decay. You can see that with things like the Irwell Valley Sculpture Trail. A lot of the sculptures now, some of them you can't even tell they're a sculpture because they were made of wood, you know, and they've not been preserved and kept over time. But I do think these places are pretty special though. Just as I'm saying that, actually, I've just turned up at this little area here. I have to admit, I was wondering about this because on the map I saw that it was kind of a wetland area. There was a pond here. I'm pretty sure last time I came through here there was hardly any water in it because it was middle of summer. But it looks like people have been down here and they've been building up. You can see there, look, they've been using bits of willow or something to create a bit of a barrier to keep the water there. So that's good to see. But there must still be people working, you know, working the land down there. That's good. It's pretty murky, that, isn't it? It reminds me of those things you see on the internet where people say they've spilt their big Sports Direct mug and the coffee's gone everywhere. It really is the colour of a brew, that. It's good to see though. As well as the silver birch, which do look stunning. I do love this kind of thing, you know, with the moss growing on it. Really eerie looking things, aren't they? Oh yes, brewing a Star Bar, can't beat it. So I'm coming out the western end of Silverdale now, almost at the end of it. I got to a point back there where sort of the middle of Silverdale where there's a bit of a split. There's like a round thing there. I got a little bit lost on the paths there, but managed to get the right path again. It's pretty nice down this end. Cool. Heron just flew right over the top of me. This little guy enjoying his breakfast. I don't know what he's found there, but he's munching on something. He's not happy that I've arrived. Come on mate, you go back to your seats. So we're at the end of Silverdale now. going to take that path there in front of me, but I don't think I'll bother. I'll head over that way. So we're going to Bolton Road now, the main road, that what we call it the top road in Swinton, because there's a main road at the bottom and the top of Swinton. So it's going to get a bit busy now after the lovely Irwell Valley. One thing I do want to go and look at is there's a monument to the old colliery workers on the corner of the road here. And the other week when I was looking on a map of Swinton, I noticed there's a little reservoir at this road junction, which I would never have known, but it's behind the trees and apparently it's like a little angling club now, so I'm going to have a look at that as well. So yeah, so this is what I was talking about. There's a little monument here dedicated to the miners in the colliery. It's something I drive past 2 or 3 times a week, and I've never stopped to come and have a look at it, so I thought it'd be good to have a look at. I presume this is part of it as well. Yeah, it's like a little bench. There's a list there of all the collieries, isn't it? And when they were open and when they were closed. As late as 1990. I don't think that was So I've just come off the route here. I do need to cross the road over there and head towards Lowry Mill and then through Swinton, but as I say, I did see this the other week on a map and I wanted to come and see what it's like. It's called Queensmere Dam, and I think it's now just a fishing lake, but let's go and have a look at it. You really would have absolutely no idea this was here. I've lived in Swinton now for over 5 years and I had absolutely no idea this lake was here. Some big looking swans over there. Lots of moor hens and coots. Could well have been where the heron had just flew from as well. So yeah, you can see it's a fishing lake. I presume it's private these days, I've no idea. I mean, I think you can just walk around it as far as I can tell, but I haven't seen too much in the way of restrictions, but obviously respect the anglers because it's their plot by the look of it these days. You can see the fishing positions. So down here we're just on Lees Street. This big mill, which is a big listed building, is now actually a big office block and storage area. That thing there is now called Lowry Mill. It was originally called Newtown Mill. Big graffiti there. On the other side of this wall here, there is quite an impressive old mill pond. I don't know if we'll manage to get a view of it. I could probably hold my phone up, but I don't want to lose my phone. Oh, there you go, you might be able to see it through there. You see that through there? That's the old mill pond. It's now an angling place. It's another fishing place. It's quite a good shot, isn't it, with the reflection of the mill? Yeah, there was 2 mill ponds and they filled the second one in for a car park. Or I think they did anyway. I know they had planning permission. They were looking for planning permission to do it. So just going past one of the big primary schools on here in their playing fields. So this path goes down the side of there. So you can see there, that's the mill. Like I said, it used to be called Newtown Mill, now called Lowry Mill. There's a really impressive allotments there as well. It stretches all the way down the side of here. So yeah, where that light is there used to be another mill pond there. So there's that mill pond over there, which is now the fishing lake. And then there used to be another mill pond there, but they filled that one in and they have built a car park there. I remember them asking for planning permission to do that. I think what they did was, although it was sad because it was kind of like a loss of habitat for wildlife and that, I think what they did was they agreed to improve the water quality and the surroundings of that mill pond over there for the angling club. So we're heading along here now. Then we're going to get to, I think it's called the Co-op Academy, which is like a school or college you can see over there through the fence. We're then going to head towards Swinton train station on Station Road, which is where Ellis Lowry once lived. I've never been to see the house where Ellis Lowry lived. Obviously someone else lives there now, and I don't think there's much there. I don't know if there's a blue plaque there or not to say which house it is. And then from Swinton train station, I'm going to cross Station Road and then head through the industrial estate near us, back towards where we live, past where the old children's hospital was, and then through one of our parks and then back to home. So we're heading towards Swinton town centre now. These allotments along here are lovely. I just went past a lady then who was putting strawberries out. She was planting her strawberries for spring, and as she was doing it, she put a trowel down and the robin just landed next to her on the top of the trowel. So we're heading over now towards Swinton station, which you can see over there. It's quite a minimal train station, the one at Swinton. So we're going to cross the bridge there over the railway and then go immediately left down a cobbled street that goes around the back of the industrial estate, around the back of Morrison's supermarket. So we're now walking down Pendlebury Road and heading towards Swinton Hall Road, where we'll turn left, go around the back of Victoria Park, which if you weren't doing a particular route is well worth walking through. It's really nice, Victoria Park. You can see in the distance there, I was saying before about how Swinton and Pendlebury are both on top of a hill, on like a ridge that comes down from Bolton. You can see in the very distance there, as you're coming down here, because it's on a bit of a hill, you can see Cheshire. So you can see out towards how much lower it is over that way. There's a couple of roads around here where you can get that kind of view. There's a road near us where you can see in the distance, you can actually see the Trafford Centre and Barton Bridge and things like that in the distance, and they're so much lower than where we are up here. So yeah, so we're at Swinton Hall Road now. So we head down here, around the back of Victoria Park, and then we walk down an old road that goes down the back of, I think it's St Augustine's Church, and then we'll get to Hospital Road, and I'll explain when we get there why Hospital Road is called Hospital Road. So we're at Victoria Park now, on Swinton Hall Road. There's a major bend here near the park entrance. We're going to go down there, which is Temple Drive, that little road there that's no longer a road. So that in there is Victoria Park. It's really nice in there. It's well worth a visit if you're around here. I just noticed this, I've driven past this so many times on this busy corner and I've never noticed this carport thing here has all got solar panels on its roof. I was just reading about it up there. There's a little thing on the fence explaining it. Cool idea. If you've got the roof space anyway, you might as well do it. So yeah, we're heading into this Temple Drive now. I presume years ago this road just used to either carry on down here, or there used to be a road junction here, but these days there's no access to motor vehicles. I've been down here on my bike a couple of times and I've walked the dogs down here on a bit of a circular to Victoria Road. And where that hedge is down there, we turn left and follow a footpath that goes down the back of St Augustine's Church, and then it kind of ends up following the route of what's known as Folly Brook, which is a little tiny stream near us that comes off the top here. It basically drains the top of the ridge here and goes off that way down in this tiny little trickle of a stream, and it sort of starts at the back of St Augustine's Church, and on the side of this path, and the boundary for Pendlebury, and between Pendlebury and Swinton, follows that brook for a while. So we're going to eventually pick the brook up again, but we do have to divert away from it because it goes behind some houses eventually. But yeah, we're going to pick up this footpath now, which is on the right here, to the start of Folly Brook, but then we're going to go over to Hospital Road. Yeah, so Folly Brook pretty much starts at the bottom of this little dip here, and it sort of just springs out the hill here, goes through these houses here on the right, which is why we can't follow it directly. I would imagine it's under those grids that it starts. And yeah, and then it goes off down there. That there is the start of Folly Brook, which eventually falls into the Manchester Ship Canal, which of course is basically the River Irwell. After it passes through Eccles and Worsley and goes near the AJ Bell Stadium, and down through that way. So this little alleyway, ginnel, whatever you want to call it, takes us down to Hospital Road. The reason this is called Hospital Road is because that there used to be Pendlebury Children's Hospital. I actually came there about 40 years ago when I put my hand on the oven hob and burnt my hand to bits. But yeah, it used to be a massive hospital, massive children's hospital. It was like the biggest children's hospital in Manchester at one point. And now basically either side of it, that bit there is listed, so they've kept that. And the rest of it is now a big housing, a brand new housing estate. As you can see, they kept the facade on the front, that Oakland's Lodge, and it's nice flats inside there now, but they've actually kept the look of the building for historic reasons. We're just crossing the A6 now. So here at the A6, where those cars are crossing over there, you can see a big tree on the side of the road. That's where Folly Brook is. So that's the boundary of Swinton and Pendlebury. Oh, I get run over. So yeah, there's a walkway down here, and there's a public footpath that does actually follow the brook. The only problem is hardly anyone comes down here, and it is massively overgrown. I come down here at the end of summer to pick blackberries. This here on the left here, I can get 3 tubs of blackberries just off that bush there. It's absolutely teeming with the things. So the public footpath comes off this little road called Bridgewater Road, and it heads into this area here, which you can see the footpath there. Looks like a few people have been through actually. I came through here the other week with the dogs and it was still pretty overgrown. I always try and hit some of the stuff back when I go through here. But yeah, wearing my trail shoes is going to be interesting going through here. There's one bit in particular where you are literally like half a foot deep in water, so that's going to be pretty unpleasant. But yeah, you see all this here. This is, someone's been through here. I can tell someone's been through here by how snapped off all these bits are. It looks like, I don't know if it's council or someone local maybe has been through and has bashed it all down. It's looking a lot better than it was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, my fiance, who has lived around here her entire life, she says that when they were kids they used to call this area the Dell. Ooh, I've just spotted something over there. I can't tell if it's a cat or a fox. I think it might be a cat. It's got like a white, it's got a bushy tail with a white bit on the end. I think it's a cat, to be honest. But yeah, this area here is incredibly quiet. No one really knows it's here or comes through here. The bird life's amazing through here, and just having the little stream through here as well. I mean, I only live 5-10 minutes from here as well, so I do like coming down here just because of the stream. Because as a kid, my favourite thing as a kid was going down to the brook and playing in the brook. I love the idea of a little stream being near us. Yeah, I think someone's been through here with a strimmer. Even all this stuff here, this has all been chopped down. It is needed through here. There's no way on earth the footpath can go through here without care, just because there's not enough people go through here. So this down here, this is our first glimpse of Folly Brook. Wow, I thought it'd be more water in it. That was quite a nice free-flowing brook the other week. I'm surprised there's less in it than there was the other week when it wasn't even like after heavy rain. So yeah, we're going over the brook here now. There's a pipe underneath there. There's a bit of a bridge here. I was hoping to show you a lovely stream, but clearly not. So yeah, this shows you how overgrown it gets through here. I came through here the other week with Wellington, and he absolutely hated it because you just kept getting stuck on brambles all the time. And well, you can see how muddy the path is. Look at the state of that. Yeah, I'm going to have fun going through here. I'll tell you one thing that's disappointed me today. I'm hoping that when we go over to the park in a minute, we're going through Oaklands Park is the last thing that we go through before we go home. I've not seen any snowdrops. I love seeing snowdrops this time of year. I may well have to rethink this route. It's absolutely sodden. Apparently there is a bit of a path goes over that way and goes up the side and then goes along, so I might go and try and find that. I think I'm going to have to actually give up. I can't go that way. There's a massive swamp there, massive swamp there, massive swamp there. The actual path is kind of over there in those reeds and goes where those trees are, but it's just pure bog everywhere, so I'm going to have to run through the bog or just give up and go back and change the route slightly. So yeah, I've had to abandon this last bit of the walk. I'm still not actually at the point where I need to be to get back to where I was. I know where I need to be though. I need to be on the other side of this bog here and then heading left back over there, and then I'll just go home. I didn't think that of all the places in the world that would be so inhospitable that I couldn't get through, it would be the tiny little area towards the end of our road. When you think of some of the massive bogs that I go in the Peak District, but I can't get through that end at all because of the recent rain. It's just complete quagmire. I think even if I had my walking boots on, I don't think I would bother. But yeah, it's just a mess up here. So I'm gonna give up this last part. I'll not bother with with the last park. I'll just give it up and go home because I can get back to the A6 up there and just walk back to the house. How ridiculous. God, I've walked up the highest mountains in the nation. I've walked across massive bogs, peatland areas. Never managed to get into any kind of trouble, serious trouble. No way on earth I could get through that. No way on earth. So I've had to give up, and I'll abandon this last sort of section of the walk. I'll upload this route anyway to OS Maps. If anyone lives locally, they can give it a go. I might miss this bit out. I might make it so that you go around this instead. Oh dear, I'm knackered after that. It's amazing when you get into a bit of trouble like that, how much it wears you out. So yeah, I'm gonna head back up this easy bit now and go home and have a shower. Check out the state of my trail runners. Look at the state of them. Filthy. So yeah, so for anyone watching the video, instead of going through that, what they call the dell, through Folly Brook, what you could do is just carry on down the road here. You get to the end of Hospital Road, turn left, come down to that park over there, where the bus stop is there, there's a park there. Go through there, you'll end up on the East Lancs. Turn right, following against the traffic on the East Lancs, you'll get to the point where you would have got if you'd gone down through the Dell, and then cross the road there, go down Lancaster Road and through Oakwood Park, which is on the other side of the East Lancs there, and that completes the circuit then. So yeah, unless it's completely bone dry, I wouldn't bother going down through Follybrook area. So yeah, so I'll finish the video there because I'm nearly home now. Yeah, it was surprisingly tasking, that, to be honest, for a local walk. I think it's about 7.5 miles, my watch has just told me.